it's Dorit Shoshani here. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad to have you with me. Today's video is going to be on sleep as a non-negotiable. In this video, I'm just going to bring out three main points that I feel are super important for us to recognize so that we can understand the importance of sleep as a non-negotiable. So sleep is one of our 5 basic needs. Remember that I have a concept called the 5 basic needs. We talk about them thoroughly in my online digital course, but I'll recap them for you here. 5 basic needs. We have sleep. They're not in any order of importance, by the way, or maybe they are. Maybe sleep is the most important. But so sleep, nutrition, order or structure, movement, and love. Okay, so sleep is one of our non-negotiable needs. These are non-negotiable. Matthew Walker, for those of you who don't know, wrote a book called Why We Sleep. Matthew Walker says that if we go 4 days without sleep, just 4 days, it's not so much, just 4 days without sleep, we will die. Okay, notice you can go days and days and days without food. I know that there's actually a clinic in the US called True North, and they fast people for up to 40 days. 40 days with no food, but 4 days without sleep and you die. So we can see the importance of sleep here. So on one end of the spectrum, we have 4 days with no sleep and we'll die. On the other end of the spectrum, he says that 8+ hours for an adult I'm talking about. Remember that I'm talking here about us parents or caregivers. 8+ hours or more and our body is in an ideal state. So what happens in between? There's a whole gap there that we're going to dive into right now about how that affects the body, how that affects the mind, and why we should view sleep as a non-negotiable. So we tend to think that we can get away with broken sleep or less sleep than 8 hours. I mean, 8 hours sounds like such a luxury. 6 hours is enough. I can thrive on 6 hours, or even if I just get 4 hours of straight sleep, that'll be enough. And then, of course, I'll just need a cup of coffee in the morning, or 2 or 3 or 4, depending on how sleep deprived I am. But we don't even recognize this as an issue. We don't recognize it as being a problem because we are unaware of the facts. And the fact is, and Matthew Walker has done lots of research on this, less than 8 hours at night on a continuum is detrimental to our well-being, both physically in our immune system, mentally in our well-being, emotionally, in our ability to cope, in our creativity. I mean, there's so many facts around why we need at least 8 hours that we just cannot compromise with a cup of coffee. We can't compromise with thinking that it's okay that we got up 3, 4, 5 times a night because in the end, the night was long, but it was broken. It's not good enough, guys. We need to be sleeping 8 hours on a continuum as adults. Another thing that I hear, maybe this is something that I should bring in here, is that parents generally tell me, I'm fine, I'm doing okay, it's all right, like I can cope, I just need a few hours straight and that's enough for me. And the truth is that when you're so sleep deprived, that feels like the truth, but that is not the truth. That is actually very far from the truth. Reaping benefits of full night's sleep, that means for an adult, 8+ hours. So let's not throw ourselves under the bus, moms especially, where we tend to think that we can pride ourselves with our good mom badge by not sleeping enough. It's not good enough anymore. The research shows that it's just not good enough. So what happens when we sleep 6 to 7 hours or less? 1, it demolishes our immune system. Matthew Walker says it demolishes our immune system. That means there's nothing left. It wipes us out. And then what happens? We get sick. And when we get sick, there's a greater chance we pass that illness on to our family, to our children. When we get sick, we can't be our best selves to take care of our children. We just don't want to be in those shoes. So, number 1, we want to take care of ourselves so that we are strong and healthy in our immune system. Number 2, we want to make sure that we are not going to have any kind of depression or anxiety as a result of sleeping 6 to 7 hours or less per night, because that's what he says happens on an emotional level. So, on our end, as moms, especially after giving birth, our hormones are all over the place. We have a much higher chance of hitting depression because of postpartum depression. In addition to just having that natural, more tendency to be able to fall into depression because of being postpartum, not sleeping exacerbates that. And so we want to make sure, in order to, 1, minimize the chances that we're going to get postpartum depression. And on top of that, minimize any kind of depression in general and anxiety. We want to make sure that we're sleeping 8+ hours a night. And many families come to me and tell me that their 3-year-olds have anxiety. How come a 3-year-old would have anxiety when the house is healthy emotionally, and they have a loving relationship, and the child is in a proper setting? There's nothing external that would be pointing to the fact that the child would have anxiety, but the child's not sleeping. And so a child not sleeping creates anxiety for that child. And so look at your children and recognize, are they, one, their immune system, is it strong? Are they constantly sick? Because if they are, take a look at their sleep. The second point is, how is their emotional well-being? How is their resilience? Are they able to cope with life? Are they losing it at the drop of a pin? Because most likely, if they are sleep deprived. So sleep deprivation obviously takes a toll on our children, but it also takes a toll on us, and we want to make sure that we're connecting the dots, and that we recognize what is the cause of this effect that we're experiencing, and looking at sleep as the first place to see if there's any way that we can improve our sleep. Because although it might seem super scary what I'm saying right now, the truth is, guys, it's not scary at all. I can help you with this. And actually, it's not even me who's going to help you. It's just learning what needs to happen in order to get your kids sleeping. And then you guys will all reap the benefits of that. Tip number 2, why do we need to sleep? Is because it messes with our appestat. The appestat is the part of the brain that regulates hunger. And when we don't sleep 8 hours or more as adults, it messes with our appetite. Of course, for our children, if they're not sleeping enough, it's going to also mess with their appetite. So it's interesting because I just notice in my family, if I don't sleep enough on a certain night, the next day I'll be picking at everything and anything in my face. I will be grabbing this, snack here, and grabbing this cup of coffee there, and then grabbing another something here, and I'm just never satisfied. It's kind of like a low-level irritability that I'm noticing around hunger, that I need to constantly be fueling myself with something, and I never quite get back to baseline. Another way that this can affect appetite, lack of sleep affects appetite, is by kind of eliminating hunger. I'm so tired, I can't cope with being hungry. It's like, I'm not even interested in eating. And then I can go hours and hours and hours without even noticing that I need to eat. Or for our children, and this happens very often, that our child doesn't want to eat. They just get too tired, and then they refuse to eat. And then what does that do? That creates stress for me as a mom, because my child didn't eat. So how's he going to sleep? So the minute he wakes up, I think he's hungry. So then I'm going to feed him, but he doesn't eat because his appetite has been affected by the lack of sleep. So I'm in this constant loop of uncertainty. Is my child hungry? Is my child tired? Is he hungry or is he tired? Wait, he must be hungry. I'm going to feed him, but no, he fell asleep, so he was tired. But then he woke up, so he must be hungry. Non-stop questioning. We don't need those questions, guys. We just need to recognize where to put our focus. Once we have clarity, then that's empowering. Then I know what to do. But if I'm constantly in a state of questioning myself, then I never get out of that rut because I don't know where to put my focus. Lack of sleep messes with our appestat. So that can either mean that we're going to be snacking on everything all day long, needing to put things in our mouth in order to calm ourselves down, or the other way, which means I've lost my appetite, I have no patience for food, just leave me alone, I can't handle that. And that puts us in a constant state of questioning. So number 2 is that it messes with our hunger. The third point that we want to discuss is drowsy driving. And Matthew Walker coined this term drowsy driving to say that if we're sleeping less than 8 hours a night, then we fall into this category where our brain will do something called microsleeps. Microsleeps are where we're sleep deprived, okay? So even 7 hours, even though that sounds like a luxury to most of us, 7 hours puts us in a state where the brain will switch off very briefly, like micro sleeps, kind of like what it sounds like, where we don't even notice it. So we're driving at night and we're tired and we don't notice that we're doing these micro sleeps. That means that in that moment, we are much more likely to get into a car accident. And unfortunately, I have parents who call me who say, that's it, my husband got in a car accident last night, we decided we can't do this anymore, we need to help our child sleep, this can't go on, we're exhausted. So guys, in order for us to have a strong immune system, in order for us to have a stable appetite, and for us to drive responsibly, let's make sure that our children are sleeping. In addition to our children sleeping, let's make sure that we are sleeping. So many times I see that parents finally get their kids sleeping and then they're up until 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, doing house chores and taking care of all the other odds and ends that need to be taken care of without prioritizing their sleep. Guys, we need to prioritize our sleep. Sleep is a non-negotiable, not only for our children, but for ourselves. So if your child is still not sleeping yet, that has to be the first step. Grab my free guide on my website. There's also a link in the show notes. It's called The 3 Main Reasons Why Your Child is Still Not Sleeping Through the Night. It will give you the pointers. It will give you the information that you need to start moving through that transition and getting your child sleeping. And if you're interested in diving deeper with me, I have an online digital sleep course. It will walk you through the entire transformation, and we can all then reap the benefits of good, healthy sleep and be our best selves. So I hope this video was insightful. I look forward to you guys reaping the benefits of good sleep. I hope to work with you, and I will see you in the next video.